I'd like to introduce our new council and get started on our meeting tonight. My name is Mark Lemming. We have Greg Kitts joining us today, new elected, and Greg Frankel, new elected. So if we can, we'll go ahead and get started, and we'll start with the prayer. Mr. Connor would lead us in that, and Mr. Scott in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I invite you to bow your head and pray with me. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this hope of a new year, new council, new government, basically top to bottom, God. We just put it all in your hands. Guide us all, direct us all from top to bottom. Be with our first responders here and abroad. Just keep them safe. God bless our county employees. Keep us all warm and let us do the people's work tonight in a way that's pleasing to you. It's in Jesus' name I pray, and for his sake. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Angie, you want to do a roll call?
I will. I didn't have a certain order this time, so I just put in alphabetical. So, Frankel, Connor,
Here.
Hicks,
Here.
Kitts,
Here.
Lemming,
Here.
McWhirter. I knew he's going to be absent. Scott.
Here.
So we have a quorum. I guess we'll just keep with the agenda if you want to speak on the auditor's report or if anybody has any questions about that.
Yeah, you do have a copy of the ending balance for the county general fund and the health insurance fund. I've also given you a copy of the rules of procedures for the council, which was last updated in 2019, so it may need to be reviewed. The online policy. If that needs to be included on this? Okay, all right, we'll get that taken care
Has
of.
David got a copy of it?
Yes, David has a copy of it right
Okay.
there, and I
Yes,
can send
maybe
you an
that's something
electronic
we-
copy.
Email back and forth, make sure we're all on the
Yep.
same thing. Okay.
I've also supplied you with a proposed list of meeting dates for the year. I will need to have this approved so that we can get this out to media. I've also provided you with a year-end unexpended balances for the funds to show what had been appropriated and given back at the end of the year that was not used, something different. And that's it.
Very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just for clarification, which one of those reports are you speaking of last?
It is
Agreement.
a 2-page, yeah.
Thank you. Very, very good. Anybody have any questions or want to go over anything on them?
Oh, one other thing. You all have a copy of the conflict of interest form that needs to be completed and gotten back to me. I do have some of you already, so anyone else that has not gotten it to me should get that to me, please.
I'm sure Mr. McWhirter's stuff's updated, but
Yes, I have Jim's information.
all right. I believe next on our agenda is approval of minutes. The session's November 20th, executive session December 11th, and regular session December 18th. I believe there's one date issue of the executive session. Yeah, and you got that right, Stacy, the date. Anybody else see anything on the minutes? If not, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Vice President, I move to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Second. Mr. Connor got the second. That's the first one I heard. Mr. Scott got the motion. We just do that by group, right? Just roll call. Or, What do we call it?
I don't know.
Let's just do it verbally. Everyone okay with the motion and the second? Say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passed.
You might just note, I guess I would abstain since I wasn't on the council at that time.
Thank you, Mr. Kitts. New business would be, the first thing would be our election of officers. We kind of had the gentleman fill in where we think that they're going to sit anyway. We can always change that around. This year, we're looking for, the first thing off would be the 2025 member assignment, the president and vice president. I have removed myself from any nomination for president, just trying to make this meeting go smoothly, and floor is open.
I'll nominate Mr. Kitts for president.
Second.
We have Mr. Kitts for president in a second. Any other nominations? Okay, no other nominations or hearing none. We take a vote. Hold a vote. Roll call.
Hicks,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
Frankel,
Yes.
Kitts,
I'll abstain.
Lemming,
Aye, yes.
Scott.
Aye. Okay. For vice president, any nominations for vice president?
I'll nominate Mr. Scott.
A second?
I'll second.
Mr. Rankel, a second. Is there any other nominations for vice president?
I make a motion that the nominations be closed.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Nominations closed. Angie, do you want to do roll call?
Sure. Hicks,
Yes.
Frankel,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
Kitts,
Aye.
Lemming,
Yes.
Scott.
Abstain. Motion's passed. Mr. Kitts will be president. Mr. Scott will be vice president moving forward.
All right.
If you'd like to take over.
All right, I can do that. All right. Thank you. Appreciate everybody's votes. And glad to be a member of the council this year. Next item on the agenda, health board appointment. Dr. Woods.
Good evening. I'm here on behalf of Dr. Woods, Tara Street. In July of 2023, the legislature changed how health boards are appointed. And as of that time, the council has one appointment on the board. It's my understanding that it was advertised late in the year. Is that correct? At this point, Kathy Goodfield is the only person that is interested. It would be a reappointment for Kathy. It's her term that's up. She has probably 15 to 20 years of public health experience because she used to work for the health department. She was an active board member previously, and I think brings a lot of public health knowledge to the board. I think she'd be a good appointment.
All right. Anyone have any questions? Probably at this meeting, then we'd go ahead and take a vote on that.
Mr. President, I make a motion to accept Kathy as the nomination for the council on the health.
All right. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Lemming,
Aye.
Frankel,
Aye.
Connor,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Kitts,
Yes.
Scott.
Aye. All right. Motion carries.
I need to submit it to the state. Thank you.
I don't later.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, we have a transfer of appropriation, local public health services fund 1161.
Yes, it was a clerical error. I did not catch when the budget forms were sent out. It was put in the line item of software, and it was budgeted with the State Department of Health to be printing. We just need to transfer it from the software line item to the printing.
All right.
And that's in the Health First Indiana Fund.
Anybody have any questions regarding that? If not, Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Anybody have anything else regarding that? Not roll call, please.
Connor,
Yes.
Lemming,
Aye.
Frankel.
Aye.
Hicks,
Yes.
Pitts,
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
All right, motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Next on our agenda, we have Gas City Mayor Bill Rock. Or a substitute.
Substitute. I'm Steve Barker. I'm a city court judge over in Gas City. Here for Mayor Rock. The reason we're here tonight actually is passing you a folder of some data that we have. And the reason I'm here tonight is to ask for your help so I can help you. In the Gas City Court, we need some funding. And the funding that is being requested is $100,000 a year. And what that would cover is salary, it would cover benefits, and it also would cover any overtime that my staff would have to do. We, in 2024, we had 1,060, I believe, criminal misdemeanor offenses, and we also had about 4,500 infraction offenses. Right now, we're on par of today. We've got 60 misdemeanor filings, 82 infractions, and about 200 payments. So if we keep that pace up, we're going to be about 1,500 misdemeanor cases, and that's a lot. The thinking of the mayor, and I've had discussions with him on this, and he said that if we can't get some kind of financial help, then the city will shut the court down. In that packet, there is the Indiana code I just put in there for you. And that, the year that would be, it'd be 2026, that they would start closing down the court. I've got some disbursement summaries there. City's losing about $100,000 a year on the court. I mean, we've done everything that we can think of as far as making budget cuts and cutting this and cutting that. I don't buy anything. I don't buy any computers, brand new computers every year or anything like that. We're very frugal, to be quite honest with you. Some of the data on the disbursement summary, that comes from our Odyssey system that is provided by the state. That's free of charge, of course. But on the Gas City summary, 2022 is over 92,000 in loss. And then in 23, it was 93,654. So with that being said, that's the predicament that we're in. So that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm requesting it. If you have any questions, I'll be more than glad to try to answer them for you. So do you have it?
Judge, am I correct that your court collects fees and fines and things that come back to the county?
Yes.
Any figures on that?
Sarah, do you know? 130,000 is what Sarah has collected. She also does collections for the court. We're aggressive when we go after fines and court costs. They don't pay them, we send them to our collection agency. And it's Capital Recovery. Mark Florence turned me on to them when he was clerk over here at the county. And I've used them since. So when we collect it, I mean, it's the same disbursement, 55, 33, and 15 on the court cost breakdown. So we've, let's see here. On the first page of summary, and I didn't include the COVID year because that was unique, but in 23 is 70,776. And then in '22, it was $64,775 that we sent over to the county. So we go after them, but until somebody down at the state level gives us more percentage of the funding, it's going to be difficult.
And if your court is abolished, where would your cases go? To the other courts?
Over here in the county to the superior and circuit courts. Yeah, and then all of the records that we have, all the stored records that we have to keep for perpetuity, the county would be responsible for them too.
And what's the $100,000 based on? Is that, how do you arrive at that figure? How's it calculated?
That's the money that our clerk, well, not clerk, what is Anita's, is she assistant?
Human resource.
Human resource. Anita Eckstein is the one that did the data for the monies, and she took it from there.
Yeah, it's on the back. Yep, back of the
So basically what we're looking at is to give back monies that's coming to the county from Gas City Court being paid open.
Right.
We're not asking for the county to assume all expenses for
No,
Gas City Court.
no.
It's just a matter of returning back what Gas City Court is sending to the county.
Right.
May I offer a little assistance to answer your question, Mr. Connor? What happens is the shortfall after they collect all the money that they can collect that stays in Gas City after the rest is shipped off. You take the budget minus that amount. That's how they got at that dollar amount. And secondly, the overriding issue is that the actual cases that happen in Gas City is about 15% of their caseload. So about 85% of their caseload is actually stuff that happens in the unincorporated county and in the small towns.
I was going to ask that question. Thank you, Mr. Bluefield.
Thank you.
And plus activity that's taking place on the interstate from the state police or filing.
Yeah, we've had excise officers that's come in, interstate, Indiana State Police, like Mr. Glickfield said, Fairmount, Upland, Jonesboro, all the small towns that we take care of. Sheriff's Department with that, with their infractions that they have, and then the misdemeanor filings that we have. And they've really, really exploded, the misdemeanor filings.
And if I may offer one more, what's happened over time is a lot of the misdemeanors 20 years ago were in the Superior Court 3, but the prosecutor's office has shifted those to Gas City. Marion City Court only handles cases inside the corporate limits of Marion. They don't handle cases that happen in Fairmount or in the unincorporated area outside, like 69. The state police have always, it's been easier for them to get to Gas City than Marion. So historically, all those tickets have gone to Gas City. And the prosecutor's office, I'm assuming because the county courts have just gotten so busy, they've been shifting that work, all these misdemeanors over to Gas City over probably the last 20 years, slowly, different types of offenses to where now the only misdemeanors that are actually heard in the county are OWI offenses. The rest of them Gas City gets unless they happen in Marion, and then Marion gets them.
So if Gas City Court were to close and these cases are going to be transferred to Grant County courts, it's probably going to cost us much more than
It
what we're giving back.
would be very hard on the county to assume. You got to remember 4,500 infractions. These are almost all driving offenses, which require paperwork that has to be done on every case that goes to the BMV. I mean, that is a massive job to do that alone, not to mention the time that it takes to process all the paperwork for court and then to actually do the hearings. And then Gas City has their own probation officer. They handle that. I'm sure you can imagine what probation's request would be to handle 1,500 more cases.
Well, plus we're already considering a referee to add to the county court system because they're so busy. I mean, I think it's only fair. I think this request is only fair. And we couldn't possibly let the court go under and try to transfer all those cases to the county courts.
If you split them up in Superior and Circuit, it'd be about 300 more cases as far as misdemeanor cases go, let alone the infractions. But as Mr. Glickfield said, Jody and Sarah and Ashley Yackel's my probation officer, and Sarah Williams is my criminal clerk, and she also does the collections. And she's like a dog on a ham bone when she gets on those things. She goes after them. And we get our monies. And then Jody does the infractions and the bookkeeping and things like that. So, I mean, those girls are working all the time, and the phone ringing off the hook and people at the window. They are busy. They are very busy.
What about the fees that you charge? Like the court costs and everything, or those?
Those are established by the state.
That's what yep. Okay.
And the distribution is established by statute.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, a lot of it, not much of it stays in Gas City. It goes elsewhere.
Yeah, it really doesn't. I mean, I guess we wouldn't be a crybaby about we're doing work for the state because they get 55% of the court cost.
Same thing happens with our money we collect too. A lot of it goes to the state here in county government.
I have a question for Angie. If we support this, where does this money come from? Just general fund? And does this require an amendment to the budget, especially in next year and henceforth?
I'm not quite sure. It would definitely come out of county general fund because everything else that comes to us from the city, like you said, goes to the state. So it gets deposited and receipted into specific funds that we turn around at settlement and return to state. So some of the collections do get receipted into like the deferral fund, the 2400 fund, the 2504 pretrial funds that the prosecutor utilizes. So it's going to be at your discretion where you want to pay that out of. And yes, it would be an amendment. I'm not sure though how we would establish it except for creating an account.
Sure. My thought would be for this year, maybe just have an additional appropriation, and then in the future, if you want to consider, maybe just have an account and maybe have them come over as part of the budget process.
So you had mentioned in your letter here, 2026 would be the start of the shutdown if you did that. And with what you're saying, we've got a couple months to figure out how we're going to get everything on our end before we would do anything. Is that understood? I mean, is that right?
That's basically what I'm asking.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
What's the mechanics?
What's the mechanics?
I'm supportive of this. I just want to know how to.
What's the process of getting it to that point?
How would the motion be stated and so forth, so we can get it
From
done?
26 be every 4 years. After that an entity could either start a court or close a court. But as far as city and towns starting up courts, they're really not.
Yeah, I understand.
They're shutting them down.
I'm just thinking, I'm not sure that you could do a motion tonight and just pass it and be done. I think you got to do a little homework here.
No, you're correct. You would absolutely have to do an additional. That would have to be advertised. And
I'm just trying to say the 2026 date. I'm just trying to, like, in my mind, you got to look at the process of things. I'm just trying to make sure that we're all.
So could we, by consensus, ask Angie to start putting that together, or?
I think that's what Judge is asking. It's just a consensus to get the appropriation put together, have it advertised, and then you would vote on it.
Sounds like we would want to move that direction in light of the courts and how busy they already are. I don't think we need any more cases coming through our courts here. So, yeah.
Judge, would you be requesting $105,900 total? So the
100,100.
well, there was The mayor mentions that the city is absorbing 100,000 per year to support the court and an additional expense per year for our police officers to attend court at an approximate cost of $5,900 per year. So do you know what the total request
Well,
is?
also this paper, this was giving us a net loss. I didn't know.
And what number we were looking at?
Yeah, that's approximation over 4 years of what we averaged, picking up prisoners and having them available for it.
We'll have to advertise a dollar amount when we get to that for the additional
That'd
appropriation.
probably be correct, that total amount that you stated.
Okay.
And that would take care of the police department and what they do for us.
Looks like you had a loss of 92,360 in 2022, a loss of 93,000 for 2023, and you'll probably have another one coming up in 24 where we can at least give an average to say if it's 100,000 or 105 or whatever.
Yeah, Anita didn't quite have the 24 numbers ready to
Sure,
go yet.
sure.
But
So 100,000 should cover it, looks like.
It would almost be exact. It would almost be exact
Exact.
with the police, and then if you use the 93 number, or 2023 number. Yeah.
We want to like get our eggs in a row, I guess, ducks in a row and meet next month. Or see where we're at.
Probably have to have it properly advertised, and probably at the next meeting then, we would look to pass and approve this, is my guess. It could be ready.
Yeah. Yes, I would just suggest a consensus vote on it, maybe a motion in a second. And then the proper documentation will get advertised and then presented at the next meeting.
This, maybe here, I don't know if anybody else on the council has any questions. Maybe we could open up to the public, see if anybody has any comments related to this. Seeing nobody gravitating toward the podium, we'll assume not.
okay, well, thank you very much.
I believe we have a consensus.
Yep, I believe so. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda, we have Grant County Sheriff, Del Garcia.
President, members of the council, thank you for having me here tonight, and congratulations to all the new council members. Look forward to working with you. The salary ordinance amendment is in reference to the Jonesboro agreement that the previous council had passed pending a amendment from the union. We don't have that yet. We ran into a couple little issues due to the holidays, things of that nature. We weren't able to get our new agreement to the county attorneys to review, so we still need to do that. Once we get that done, we'll get that to the union, and they say they would work with us and make an amendment to the contract. So it would be appreciated if you guys would table this to the next council meeting, and then we should have all of our ducks in a row for that. I would learn today that we normally send our agreements to Mr. Persinger. Didn't know who to send it to since they're looking at possibly making a change there, but I was informed today that I could have sent it to Mr. Sullivan, but I normally would send them there. So I'm going to send that out tomorrow to him, have him review it, and then we should have everything ready for the next council meeting.
Sheriff Garcia, there's the commissioners and the council are parties to this, so on behalf of the council, I would like a copy also to review from their perspective,
Okay.
because they're involved in this also. Both bodies are.
So we'll get that approved through the commissioners. I think that's their area of responsibility for contracts, and but I'll definitely get you guys a copy so you guys can review it and have a look at it, along with the amendment from the union.
Okay.
Perfect.
Any questions?
No, sir.
All righty.
Thank you.
Stay warm, it's cold out.
Yeah. All right, next on the agenda, we have Grant County Commissioner, Mr. Middlesworth.
Good evening, gentlemen. I want to welcome the new county councilman on behalf of the commissioners. We look forward to working together with you, and if there's any questions you have, please feel free to reach out to any of us commissioners. So we'll be glad to help any way we can. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you come up to the office and get a ID badge. And if something that's, kind of forgotten, we do make those up there in our office. And Mr. Kitts, I do have a key for you. It's not a key to every building door, but it is, we'll get you in here if you want to come in early to open up the meetings or whatever. So remind me afterwards and I'll pass that off to you. On behalf of the Grant County Commissioners, I would like to request the following salary ordinance amendments for the 2025 budget. We have some ever-growing staffing issues within the maintenance department. As you know, in the last budget cycle, we created the Buildings and Ground Department. So from this point forward, I'll mention the Maintenance Department as the Buildings and Grounds Department. We're requesting an increase in staffing for the Buildings and Ground Department. There are currently 4 positions. We have a maintenance director and 3 maintenance technicians, 2 of which the positions are vacant, and we're having trouble filling those. The request is seeking 6 positions, which would be 2 additional maintenance technicians. So we'll have a maintenance director, assistant maintenance director, and then 4 maintenance technicians. And so the idea is behind adding 2 more maintenance technicians. After we've been in every building now, we got some major deficiencies in the building and some neglect that's been ongoing for years. And so we feel like if we was to add those 2 additional maintenance technicians, we could have 3 2-man teams. When you're going into jail or a lot of times anytime you have 2 maintenance guys makes things quicker, simpler. But I'm here today also to increase the salaries for the maintenance department. The request is seeking the maintenance director's salary to the $54,000, the assistant maintenance director to $52,000, and the maintenance technicians to $50,000. I have attached some comparisons. If you look at the second page, maintenance employees' salaries in Indiana, the average is $50,120. That's from ZipRecruiter. I also included school maintenance salaries, roughly $30 an hour. And then if you turn to the back, you'll see the requested salary comparison for the buildings and grounds. So that's kind of the breakdown of what the buildings and grounds salary comparison would be that we're requesting this evening. We're also will be requesting some part-time monies to be included in the amount of $46,000, as well as when we created the fund last year during the budget process, we forgot to include overtime. And so we'd be requesting $15,000 in overtime. But given our timing of the meeting, we wasn't able to make those requests to have the additional appropriations advertised. So tonight I'm just requesting the salary ordinance amendments to make the maintenance director's salary to $54,000, the assistant maintenance director's salary to $52,000, and the maintenance technicians to $50,000, and adding the 2 additional positions. Is there any questions with that request?
Is the director a working director?
Yes.
Do you use work orders?
Do we use work orders? Currently, I don't think no, that we don't. I know that IT does use work orders. However, maintenance does use work orders within the jail. So when there's an issue in the jail, there's a box over there that they put work orders in. They check that daily to go over and
I'd probably suggest, a suggestion to make sure you have some sort of, what's been completed, like you have a profile list, obviously a punch list of what needs done. I try to keep something as a work order to say what we've completed, just so that as the rest of the councils look at this and say, hey, you know, this is a lot of money that we're putting out, because it's not just one employee, you're talking more employees, you're wanting to be able to come back and say, well, if we had hired this out to a consultant's firm, it would have cost us blah, 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 but because we done this and we did it in-house, we're saving X dollars, or we made X dollars. That would be my suggestion.
You know, I think that's a good suggestion. Definitely, we need to track, you know, kind of the cost savings that these additional employees and additional pay could, you know, save the county potentially long-term. Like I say, I mean, we can talk about bathrooms. I mean, if you look at any of the county bathrooms, they haven't been updated in quite some time. So if we go to bid that out, you know, we're gonna pay for it. And we feel like that if we could hire the right maintenance technicians, we could keep that in-house and make those cost savings efforts all we can here.
Do you see any of these new employees doing custodial work, or are they going to be primarily maintenance?
No, the only custodial work that the maintenance would be involved with would be trash. They do take out the trash. It'd be more like the large bag of trash, like paper shreddings and stuff. They don't go around and empty individual trash cans.
So it'd be your opinion that we would still use a contractor to do the general cleaning of the
At this time, we would. Now, there's some talk that as far as, you know, we're contracted out with the cleaning service. It's Don's Cleaning. We're currently under contract with them. I'm not saying in the future, I mean, there's a difference between janitorial maintenance. We're looking at to hire maintenance that, you know, can lay carpet, that can do electrical work, that can, you know, possibly do some HVAC work. And so I'm not going to promise you that we can eliminate anything at this point.
Would you see the maintenance supervisor divvying out the responsibilities to these people? Is that how that's going to work?
Yes, yep.
So there could be certain crews that are assigned to this building, maybe some over there.
Yeah, yep.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, you've been in the jail and in different buildings, and we're behind the 8 ball when it comes to building maintenance. And I think this
Basically,
is
two guys are learning from building to building all day long.
and we can't really do any preventative maintenance at the time because all we're doing is running around putting out fires.
Right.
So, but preventative maintenance, if we can get a director that can do, you know, have schedules, preventative maintenance, and, you know, have work orders, I think that's going to be a huge benefit to the county.
I think the latest sheriff's report that I saw, he even had it by floor, as far as, you know, here's some items that need fixed on each floor of the jail. So, yeah.
I think you stay busy in that jail forever, bro.
Yeah, you could probably just, two people doing that. Yeah.
So that is my first request.
All right.
Do you want me to move on, or?
Yeah, probably move on down from that.
Okay. The next request before you this evening, I'm requesting an increase in staffing for the HR department. The request is seeking to take the part-time HR coordinator position to a full-time HR coordinator position. Currently, the part-time dollars that we've been budgeting for is the $24,293. And the full-time, we're requesting a salaried amount of $60,000. The total increase, including life insurance, FICA, and PERF, would be $90,840. But if you less the part-time, we're talking an increase of $66,540. The purpose, the proposed full-time HR coordinator position would be responsible for the day-to-day HR functions, including but not limited to assisting with workmen's compensation, FMLA, retirement programs, benefits, health, vision, dental, life, disabilities, critical illness, accident, and employee assistance plans, ADA and Title V plans, daily inquiries and interactions having to do with disciplinary actions, policies and procedures. This assistant will allow me to have a better control over consideration of daily county functions as the county administrator at the county executive level for the Board of Commissioners, alongside providing a more robust HR service for all Grant County employees. And that was the Administrative Executive Justin Sadoff's recommendation. Currently, our part-time HR coordinator that deals mainly with workman's comp is going to be retiring or leaving the job, so that's going to create a vacancy. And we just feel like that, given the number of employees and the amount of work that we need to get done with the buildings and with different directions, that we need Justin to focus more on his administrative role and delegating our plans as commissioners. But he will be there to train, and we're trying to get somebody there to work underneath the current part-time coordinator to help facilitate the training. So the request would be to, again, to add a full-time position. If you go to the salary and wages, the black copy, this is a county comparison for human resource directors when it comes to pay. And so I think the 60,000 is reasonable, comparable to other counties. And then if you look in the commissioner's salary comparison sheet, I broke down off to the right the 2025 proposed. Like I say, I know these are huge asks. I wouldn't be here standing before you if I didn't think it was necessary. I've sat on that side, and there's many times where I thought, if I ever become on this side, I'll never ask for anything, but I know that's not the case, and so.
Didn't even make it a meeting.
I know. But least-wise, I'm not standing up here asking for myself for a big raise, right?
True.
Normally, that's what I've seen happen.
To quote one of my favorite movies, and so it begins.
Commissioner Polling's here as well. Do you have anything else to add, sir?
No, we really need the maintenance guys because we got 7 buildings right now. And we are one day going to build a records building. We'll have a lot more buildings. 4 men can't do the job, especially if you see what we've seen.
And maybe as an example, I was over there at the courthouse in the last 2 years, the interior was painted. Is this something that if you had 6 maintenance guys, that you would have those maintenance guys do that painting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, anything that we can do to save the county.
In-house.
Yeah.
Trying to keep it all in-house.
Right.
So they're going to tile, they're going to plumb, they're going to pull wire, they're going to paint, they're going to change out lights.
I feel like you can get that kind of a person on that salary range there.
I got something lined up. If you give us the money.
When's my first day?
You want to pull wire or plumb?
I would
can
do
pull some
one
wires,
wire
I've seen
one
it.
time.
Mr. President, is there anything else you want to ask for while you're at the podium?
Do you want me to continue on? I'm on a roll here. I would just say next month, I just wanted you to be aware of next month, like I say, do the advertising. We have some additional appropriations. Like I said, we need to advertise to do the 15,000 in the buildings and grounds. We need an additional appropriation for the part-time up to 46,000. The reason why we're requesting part-time, if we know that there's possibility that we need somebody specialized to do something, electrician, for instance, or something really specialized, that we could bring them in part-time and pay up to $30 an hour to accomplish the task. And so, I mean, obviously we know just because it's there, we're not going to spend it wastefully. If that could be utilized. And then also, the last commissioners, we had a fire out at the EMS building. And there was insurance proceeds, and if you looked in your packet, you'd see that the commissioners let $1.7 million roughly go back at the end of the year. And about $730,000 of that was insurance proceeds from the building that burned. Due to some insurance caveats, we need to be building on to the EMS building for some classrooms in order to capture all of the insurance dollars. Because some of the insurance dollars is direct replacement. So I believe last time I looked, it was about $100,000. So we're looking at building on some classrooms. Right now, there's been no training for the EMTs because the classrooms. I don't know if you've had a chance to visit the EMS building yet, but I'm more happy to meet you out there and give you a tour as well as Don Harness, the director. So, but no, we're going to request $850,000 of the insurance proceeds to be put back within the building structure and repair fund within the commissioner's budget.
So we have access to that insurance money, or it has been lost?
No, we still have access.
Okay.
And the
If you
additional
remember-
money,
What's that?
the additional money that was held by the insurance company until we would actually rebuild.
Yes.
And then we could access that money, but I would assume it's under a window of opportunity here that will close. Is it 12, 24, 36
Yeah,
months?
we're still working through that. I've been going through emails. We were supposed to have the building down by a certain time, and we still don't have the building down. So I don't know if that window has been extended or not, but we're still working through the insurance carrier with that. But we did make last year, the past commissioners we did make additional appropriations within those funds. It just was never utilized.
So the plan is to demolish the old building that's there.
Yeah, and the current like where we're at in the process on that building is, they had asbestos in it, so they was doing asbestos remediation, and I believe about had that wrapped up.
Yep.
And so, Mr. White, the highway director, was gearing up to take it down anytime.
That was my next question. He was gonna do it.
So, yeah.
Like I said, we really need these guys, because, if you'd had 6 guys 20 years ago, these buildings wouldn't be like they are. You gotta have more help.
And I'd be more than happy to, like, after this meeting, I can take you right to one of the main eyesores. And I think you need to see it for yourself and put in perspective, what we're dealing with.
No, there's no doubt that 2 guys can do what we need to do. Seems like they're constantly running with 2 guys.
Well, you gotta remember, we got 7 buildings.
I know.
The neglect of our buildings over time is really starting
To get us.
to exponentially grow right now. I mean, you just look at just even the exterior of our buildings and just the holes and just the disrepair, and it is a very bad look.
My assumption would be part of that was pay, right? I mean, it's hard to get guys to work for what they're.
Yes. Yep.
That's why I asked if you felt like that was sufficient to get quality guys that you want.
Yeah, I believe so now.
One of my thoughts was, how is this going to will this impact other county employees as far as that pay goes? Like the highway department, or will it impact them at all? Will they be upset because of these new people for getting more money or the same money?
I didn't break down an analysis of, the other departments.
I think you're asking for specialized areas here.
Well, they have CDL, so that's what you're always going to get that
Yeah.
throwback.
Yeah.
Well, and to be realistic, they need more money too. You guys are never gonna maintain anything at the highway department paying what you're paying.
Can I add, as a county employee?
Yeah.
The county employees that work in this building will 100% recognize the need, 100%. And I don't think any of them would complain that you're putting in more money to get good employees. The women's restroom here has had a hole in the wall for 10 years, 10 years. And the 2 guys work themselves to death. You need more help. So I think
Thank you.
most county employees that witness it would be okay with it.
Anybody else have any questions? I guess we can also ask if any members of the public, we did get one public comment. Anyone else?
I want to ask for your support for these guys who are trying to make a difference in the county, the representation of the buildings, and just ask for that support for them. Thank you.
And I think Mr. Lemming's comment about work orders and things, I think that would be great too. That way people can get the piece of papers in, and then you'd be able to track. You can even track how much work they're doing to know. So
It justifies.
yes,
That's what I'm thinking. It
absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna be doing the before and after pictures, I know.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, with that, it looks like then basically the request is adding 2 new positions and also a salary increase in the Buildings and Grounds Department, and then also having a HR, full-time HR coordinator, as opposed to the part-time. I'd entertain a motion regarding that.
Make that motion.
All right.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Does anybody else have any questions or comments regarding that?
Would you mind saying the names of who made the first and second motion, please?
Oh, sure. Mr. Brankel made the motion, and I think Mr. Scott seconded it. Yep. All right. If nothing else, then roll call, please.
Wrinkle?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Connor?
Yes.
Hicks?
Yes.
Pitts?
Yes.
Lemming?
Aye.
All right. The motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen. And we'll be back next month to do additional appropriations.
All right.
I'll work with Amy to get those advertised. But again, if you want me to show you, I'll be more than happy to after this meeting.
Actually, what I'd like to know is when that hole in the women's restroom gets fixed.
Let's see this is pictures.
That'd be great. Be a good start. All right. Next on the agenda, Grant County Soup 2, Judge Nathan Meeks.
That's probably what you're talking about as far as showing.
Good evening. I am joined this evening with Ultimate K9. We have Beth and Chris with us, and Darla, golden retriever there. And Darla was purchased by Grant County late last fall. And so the judiciary made a unanimous decision to move forward in the procurement of a facility dog. And that is to help us in the courtroom proceedings as far as helping and aiding when children testify and when other individuals that have other nervousness or complexities that would prohibit them or somehow make it difficult for them to testify. It's there to help calm them in those proceedings and also to help in problem-solving courts like mental health court and family recovery court, drug court, veterans treatment court as well. And when we started this process several months ago, I didn't even know that there was a law on the Indiana books that relate to this. But Indiana is actually one of 20 states that has urged the use of these animals in the courtroom. And I think in the policy that I had drafted for the commissioners that I'll speak to them about next week, Indiana Code 354513 specifically talks about children testifying in criminal proceedings. And if a child is under 16 years of age and testifying in any criminal proceeding, then it says the court shall provide to them a comfort animal or comfort, I don't know if it uses the word device, but comfort item, I think is the wording there. And so this is something that the legislature here in Indiana obviously sees a great merit in.
Can you repeat that last part? Comfort what?
Comfort animal or comfort item.
Item?
Item.
Item, I-T-E-M.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
sorry,
all I'm
Mr.
picking
Connor.
up. Thank you.
So, and this is pretty common to see. And in my years as a practitioner, I traveled around many counties here in Indiana, and I saw the use of facility dogs in Madison County and in Delaware County and in Howard County. Actually, Howard County was probably the first one I saw it in with their Veterans Treatment Court program. So this is, again, something that even our neighbors here around us in Grant County are using. And I think it is a benefit, and obviously, again, something that the legislature wants us to use, or they wouldn't have enacted this law for us to use them in the criminal realm. And so what we're asking for then this evening is slightly different than what the email might have said. There was an email sent out in December when we asked to get on the agenda, and that dealt with an additional appropriation. We're not asking for an additional appropriation tonight. We're asking for a transfer of appropriation within the Superior 2 budget. There is a fund that is for appeals and pauper counsel, and I think there's an $11,000 budget there. We're asking for 10 of that to be transferred to a new budget for K-9 supplies. And going forward, I think the judiciary, through the help of probation and other agencies, will actively pursue grants. And there are many grants that are available to help with these things. But those applications have long since been closed for 2025. And so hopefully we can secure some of those fundings going forward. But this will help us at least get everything off and running and help us get through 2025. So I don't know if there's any questions from the members. I'd be happy to answer, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
I have a few questions. I got to give you credit. I was skeptical, and you just checked off all the boxes, and my skeptical meter went way down.
Okay.
Because I haven't had any experience with this. I mean, we obviously see service animals and a lot of other things in society and police officers and so forth. And maybe forgive a couple of dumb questions.
No, go ahead.
I'm assuming the dog has special training.
Correct. Yeah, the dog still has about a month left before it is ready to come to Grant County. But it'll have, how many months of training has it gone through? About 9-10 months?
Actually started training as soon as he left the litter. So at 8 weeks old,
Okay.
Darla started her training to be a therapy dog. And she went through temperament testing prior to that to make sure that she had the right temperament, personality in terms of a dog that would be successful as a therapy dog.
And so you can't just do this with any dog.
No.
I mean, I think of, rescue dogs and things. I'm a proud fur daddy of 4 myself, and yes, I need my head examined. But I'm just thinking, would there be alternatives that wouldn't cost? Like, where does the dog live when it's not in court?
Right. The dog has a primary handler, and then there are secondary handlers as well. And those handlers, primary and secondary, have to go through training themselves. And so Ultimate K-9 will be here on the premises February 11th, 12th, and 13th doing a 3-day training for the handlers. The primary handler you're looking at. So he'll reside with me and my family, and she'll.
This is a lot for the public, because I just want folks to know, if we approve this, it's not just a matter of, hey, you can borrow my Great Dane. She can cover like 3 courts all at once.
Right.
So it doesn't work that way. It has to be special dogs with special homes, people that are trained.
Right.
It's not as simple as just handing over a dog for a day.
Correct.
Yeah, if I can interject, like
sure.
I said, definitely temperament testing up front. Just because the dog passes that temperament testing doesn't mean at some point along the line they may drop out. They develop some sort of a fear or something that would really prevent them from being successful as a therapy dog. Not only are they getting very solid obedience training, but they are out at schools, they are out at hospitals, they are out at nursing homes, they're out in a lot of different public situations getting that experience during their training process. So they're meeting tall people, short people, white people, black people.
Are they allowed in court actually during testimony?
The law actually says they have to remain in the courtroom during the testimony.
And I'm assuming the law you quoted when it talked about items, maybe like the traditional teddy bear.
Could be a teddy bear.
A stuffed animal, something like that. I'm assuming a live puppy does a lot better job than a stuffed animal.
I would assume so, yes.
And I can't imagine that being of a whole lot of comfort to adults. stuffed animals?
Surprisingly, my office has already had maybe about 3 calls in the 5+ months I've been there where people want to bring their own dog with them. You know, to me, I see this as a very good alternative to that. I mean, because we don't know anything about these dogs that they might be bringing in, and I'm not sure that we should allow that. But now we would have an alternative to say, no, you leave your animal at home, we'll have one here for you. And
So you don't allow emotional support animals in, obviously, in court?
I would be inclined against that personally. So.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hell, Judge, I see the benefit every day as our school has a therapy dog that's in our building every single day, and just witnessing firsthand, the experience from the kids' standpoint. I commend you from looking outside the box, and these moments in the courthouse for a lot of individuals can be a very stressful time, and especially for the youth of our community, and just finding a way to be able to lessen that stress just a little bit, not entirely. But lessen that a little bit is very important. So I commend you to look outside of how to comfort those individuals. So I applaud your efforts.
Did I understand you to say it'll live with you?
Correct.
So when you're behind the bench, where will the dog be? Out?
Well, it could be in the gallery. It could be on the witness stand if a witness is testifying. It may be in the court office. Another handler that will go through the training is my bailiff. It might be in circuit court or Superior 1, because with those problem-solving courts, obviously those are between us and the other courts, and so it's not going to just be in Superior 2. It'll be bouncing around between courtrooms, including the juvenile court.
That's what I was looking for, another handler besides you as the judge. I was just thinking in my head, if that's the case, I don't know how it works.
No, there'll be 4 handlers in that training.
That has to be a pretty special dog to be able to do that. To be that socialized that they can be in so many environments. That's astonishing.
Well, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions?
Do you need a consensus of support, or is this just a presentation?
Since it's a transfer, it's
yeah, I think
something
we'll
that you
have
all could approve without advertisement, so.
Well, I'll go from skeptic to making the motion.
All right. Thank you,
Make the
Mr.
motion to
Connor.
approve it.
I'll second that motion, Mr. President.
Mr. Connor makes the motion, and Mr. Brinkle seconds it. Before we actually vote on that, does anybody from the public have any comment related to this topic?
I would just say that the commissioners are in favor of this as well.
All right. Thank you. All right. So that was a motion by Mr. Connor, seconded by Mr. Brinkle, and roll call, please.
Connor,
Yes.
Frankel,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Kitts,
Aye.
Lemming,
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for stepping up.
And for the record, there's 2 of mine.
All right. Next, we have Grant County Auditor Angie Jarvis.
Well, I was going to say, I had talked to Mr. Lemming earlier this afternoon about adding an item to the agenda to include area plan. They are here to ask for a salary ordinance amendment.
Okay.
Randy Atkins will be presenting that.
Yeah, thank you. I want to congratulate the new members to the council. Wanted to make you guys aware that I am your citizen representative to the APC appointed by the council. The APC has experienced some staffing situations here in the last couple of months. Our director resigned in December that we had appointed in August, and we moved our office manager up to be an interim director. Surprisingly, that individual provided a resignation to us last Friday, where her last day is going to be the 24th of January. So right now we are 3 people, after January 24th, we'll have half a staff in the Area Planning Commission because we have another person that's on a maternity leave. So we will be from 6 people down to 3 people without a director or an office manager. So it was recommended that I seek some temporary help in order to get us through the little hump. We have advertised or posted the position for the director, and we have an executive session of the executive committee tomorrow in order to screen those applicants so that we can move forward with interviewing applicants for the director's position and hopefully get something in place, as soon as we can pull a APC meeting together in order to approve that person, assuming that we're able to find somebody of quality with any applicants that we have. Considering that we've only got a week left of the person who has served the two top capacities in that office, I'm going to seek you guys' approval to have a part-time office person for 28 hours a week on a temporary basis so that that person can work with the current interim director before that person leaves to make sure that there's some training that takes place so that the burden of those responsibilities do not fall on the other offices within the county building. We've only got a week to get that done. So I'm seeking a half-time person on a temporary basis. I would hope that before the busy season of the Area Planning Commission takes place that we can have these vacancies filled, and I don't feel that we would need that position any longer. Any questions you guys may have?
Do we have like a salary on that? One in
It
our
would be $15.40 an hour.
They currently already do have one part-time position at $15.40. This would be an additional position for part-time at $15.40 for 28 hours a week.
Yeah, I don't think we have many choices but to get something in place, obviously. And I think the process for you guys is going to be a difficult one, probably, to get experience and to get everyone hired in a short period of time. So
I do feel confident with two of the applicants that we have, but we'll put those in front of the executive committee tomorrow, and hopefully we can make some decisions about scheduling some interviews and move forward. But at this point, we couldn't even conduct a meeting with the APC because we don't have the staff to put the information necessary in order to conduct a meeting. And we do have a meeting coming up in February.
Those two potential candidates you're talking about, is that for the part-time position?
No, that would be two candidates for the executive director's position. I think it's important that we fill the executive director's position first so that that person can have some input in hiring the level below that, which would be the administrative executive or the office manager is what I'm going to call them. I don't know what it is titled, but that would be the second person underlined. I think we need to get the director first and give them the opportunity to be part of that second hiring. It's been a struggle, hasn't it, Frank?
So it's not with the vacancies, we have the funding. So, are we just looking to institute a new title for him to be able to?
We're just making a salary ordinance amendment to allow for a second part-time employee. Later on down, we can do transfers because there'll be unused salaries.
Yeah, without the other position right now, no office manager, then basically you've got extra money in there. So, okay. So basically this is just to allow for that part-time position paid at $15.40 an hour. All right. So I think that's what the motion would be.
I make a motion to approve the request.
All right.
I'd second it.
All right. So we have a motion by Mr. Connor and a second by Mr. Lemming.
I'm sorry.
Motion by Mr. Connor and a second by Mr. Lemming to approve that additional part-time position at $15.40 an hour. Roll call, please.
Connor?
Yes.
Lemming?
Aye.
Frankel?
Aye.
Hicks?
Hicks.
Hicks? Kitts?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye. All right, motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Randy, while you're up here, I just want to keep encouraging you all. Please be business friendly. Just keep that in mind. I think we're coming into a new era in the country, and so I hope that area plan will you know, when you have issues before you, I hope you'll be as pro-business, pro-small business as possible. Just want to encourage you along those lines. We need your help.
Absolutely, I appreciate that.
Thank you. Good job.
All right. Next on the agenda, Grant County Auditor Angie Jarvis.
I believe Shane will be presenting this
All right.
since he was involved in that meeting with the public defender.
So you have a letter before you this evening from the auditor. I believe myself and Mr. Scott and Mr. Lemming met with Bruce, the public defender, right?
Bruce Elliott.
Yeah, Bruce Elliott, yeah, I couldn't think of his name. Yeah, Bruce Elliott, the chief public defender. During the last budget cycle, we did create a new chief deputy PD line item. And when we created it, we didn't account for enough salary dollars at the time. And so when we met back in December, we believe we can make an adjustment, and that will be net neutral, I believe. And so tonight I'm just going to ask for a salary ordinance amendment to be requested to make it retroactive to January the 1st. This would be an increase to the new chief deputy public defender from $137,635 to $154,135. And so then we need to amend the contracts with the PDs. There's 3 super PDs at $23,500 and 1 CHIN's TPR at $12,500. Does that make sense to you?
You might just remind us, I think for the chief, it's because it's going to be a full-time position, he can't do his practices.
Correct.
Yeah. So in our meeting, I guess it was more or less in order to get everything to work out so that we were prosecutors to public defenders and we were trying to make everything equal as best we can. These were some of the things that needed to be done, and it was kind of already after our budgeting line items were put in place.
So I believe with that being said, I think we're going to be real close to the $300 range to pay Prosperity in that position. And so then also we need to make transfers of appropriation. We need to transfer $7,606 from contractual service account to the salaries account in the amount, is that right? $4,000 to the salaries account, $1,263 to FICA account, $2,343 to the PERF account, and then $12,500 from contractual CHIN's TPR account, and then $12,500 to the salary account. And Angie has all that information, and I think she's got everything she needs. So just more or less just cleaning up the year-end stuff from last year.
Excuse me.
And I did see him in the courthouse working. I mean, he has taken over the position already, Mr. Drook. So hopefully we can get things moved through the system.
So with the super PDs, you still have other PDs, is that correct?
Was there salary increases for them too, super PDs and PDs?
I think it's on the back page.
They received a $5,000 increase like the rest of the county employees did. The only difference with them was the full-time public defender position that was created or changed.
I think that we're definitely on the right track when it comes to the public defender's office and giving those pay raises. And I know that there's been some people up in the office getting new badges that are public defenders. So I know that he's doing a great job of trying to get them filled too. So.
And the state reimburses us for all that expense.
Angie, all the reimbursement on this.
60%?
40%.
40.
40% is reimbursement, and then I think on death penalty, it's 50.
Okay, he's right. It's 60% for child,
Yes.
child support. 40.
The super PD, remind me what that is again?
The super PD, so you had 4 of them. You've reduced to 3 now with the chief deputy position. So there was 23,000 some odd, which basically went to that. The super PD there is a weighted caseload to get the money from the 40% reimbursement from the state. Several factors have to be in place. One of them is what President Middlesworth was referring to earlier by getting the chief deputy salaries in line. They have to be parallel to the prosecutor's office. That's one requirement. The next requirement is there is a weighted caseload for each public defender. Once they hit that number, then there's overflow. And that overflow is what the super PDs pick up. They also do all the appellate work, and they do the murder cases.
I think he was trying to tell us, if I remember our meeting, it was because of experience.
Correct. Yeah.
So if you had the newer people right out of college, they were just starting, but they were getting the PDs, they couldn't give them some of the work you're discussing.
The good news is all the PD positions are filled. The bad news is they're all young attorneys who to get to do level 5s and above have to have 2 years of experience and at least 3 criminal jury trials. So we have 4 new attorneys, and they will all be excellent, but they're in that process of getting that experience. Once they get that experience, then they'll be able to do the heavier cases also.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. I knew there was something like that.
Yes, there is.
I'd gotten the gist.
So as far as the number of PDs we have, are we fully staffed, quote unquote?
They're fully staffed right now, yes. Thanks to you gentlemen and your predecessors, yes.
All right. Does anybody else have any other questions? If not, then Chair will entertain a motion regarding this request.
Mr. President, I make a motion based on Mr. Middlesworth's sheet. Number 1, the salary ordinance amendments, and number 2, a transfer appropriation as put in our packet.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Living and a second by Mr. Scott. Anybody have any other questions? Any members of the public have any questions or comments?
I would just say that it's retroactive to the January the 1st, part of the motion.
That's correct. All right, if not, then roll call, please.
Lemming.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Frankel.
Aye.
Connor.
Yes.
Hicks.
Aye.
Kids.
Aye. All right. And then next on our agenda, we have committee reports, which would be committee assignments and everything from last year. I don't know if anybody has anything.
Do you have a list of those anywhere?
I did share the list of committee assignments with the auditor.
And that was given to you tonight, so.
Yeah, we
Oh, is it in there?
we didn't fill anything out, right? You're asking for the new appointees.
Yes, we do need to appoint them.
So we, you want to have an email or discussion or however you want?
Yeah, we could do that, just email or something like that. Because otherwise, we've got committees that people are on. I don't know if people, don't want to serve on those anymore or have something that you would love to serve on.
Because I may be asked about this, you recall we had the discussions about the referee position for Superior 3. Where do we stand on that? I think between Judge McVicker and myself, we brought you all the information. Is there anything else you need? What's the pleasure of the council on proceeding with that? Do you want to hear from Judge McVicker again?
I guess speaking for myself, I like the information. I think it's still a good thing to go with, even with Gas City, even if we move monies over there, I still think it's a good thing. I mean, what are your thoughts on it, Mike?
I think it's a good move. I think, we need it. I'd be in favor of that before I would adding another court.
Okay.
Because Grant County has a lot of courts. We have a lot of things going on here, so we have a need for those courts, don't get me wrong. But if you look at other comparable counties, they don't have as many courts as we do. So, but I think it's an innovative way of maybe helping the caseload. And because Judge McVicker has given us a reasonable time frame when it could start panning out, we should know in a couple of years if it doesn't work. I think we need to be prepared to say if the metrics don't
support it,
we cut it.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. We have to have the courage to do that. And I'm glad that the council has started moving in that direction of, we're going to try some things, but rest assured we will cut it if it doesn't come to fruition. So I guess I just need to know, do you, for the benefit, we've got some new council members, maybe you want to have Judge McVicker come back and make another presentation. And we've heard a lot of this. I'd really like to let him know it needs to be brief.
I was present.
I think I was.
For the other one, you were too.
Okay,
So-
all right.
I think Mr. McWhorter was
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So do we want to get it on the agenda for a motion? I mean, just with pleasure of the council, so if I'm asked, I can report back to Judge McVicker.
Well, I mean, if we're serious about judicial reform, and this is an idea they've come up with, I think it's something we need to try, right? I mean, that'd be my opinion. I'm no expert.
I agree.
I think it is, but then we also need to make sure that we have some proper metrics to be able to,
Right.
Really verify or confirm that the court is moving cases along. I mean, that's the whole goal, obviously, with that court, is to do that.
I think I'd like to have those metrics before we start.
Sure. Agree.
Because not that our courts would do this, but it's real easy for government entities to, after the fact, come up with justification for why it's,
Yeah.
here, we're going to give you this data because it's working. Well, you're not going to get disfavorable data. But if ahead of time we're told this is what the standards are going to be, we write that down, we keep it in mind and judge it in the future.
I agree.
So that might be one thing we'd want to.
And we were told that they could,
about.
we were told they could do that, right? That
Mm-hmm.
Judge Spitzer and some of the,
You feel comfortable working in tandem with them to create those metrics, or, I mean, you want this to be more of a group effort? I mean, I'm perfectly fine from personally if,
My only discomfort is I do not do criminal law. And good Lord willing, I never will have to. So it's one of my weakest areas
Me
in
too.
the law.
I don't either.
So, but I probably understand it 100 times more than a layperson. So,
if somebody over here that has a little bit of it, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe Mr.
They offer, just so you gentlemen know, the whole concept was initially my thought in trying to ease the burden of the jail situation, basically trying to get movement on cases. I put a lot of thought into this, and I have worked things out where I might now be considered to be the referee again, where initially I had ruled it out.
now this isn't like Al Gore claiming to have invented the
Correct,
internet.
no. So the metrics the metrics you're talking about
Was it just me or?
are the measure the amount of time that it takes for a level 6 felony case to proceed right now, and on the misdemeanors, the OWIs basically. And then the goal then is to reduce that greatly. And one of the things that I had mentioned to Judge McVicker that really needs to be done is whoever does that, if I were doing it, I would have a jail list of every level 6 felony and every misdemeanor. Anyone who was in jail, those cases are going to get attention, and they're going to be pushed to be resolved immediately. So the people who need to be in jail, in my opinion, are you have to give first priority to dangerous people. People who have serious charges, who are a threat. Then you have a whole nother group of people who are in there for a whole different amount of reasons. Some of those is it's just taking too long to get their case processed. Those people they've got to be moved to the forefront, and they've got to be resolved. So with a goal in mind of getting these level 6 cases off center, these misdemeanor OWIs off center, hopefully there's not too many misdemeanor OWIs in jail right now. The goal then is once that's done, the referee does that, Superior 3 now has the ability to also, so you're increasing your capacity by 25% for the major felony cases. So now he can also, have a jury trial a week if necessary, whatever's necessary to keep the cases moving. That was the logic behind this. And the measurement will be the number of cases that are closed and the amount of time it takes to close those cases compared to what's going on right now.
Could we get some kind of a document drafted by either, I guess I need to ask the judge this, drafted by you or the judge or somebody that we can, I can file it away and then later pull that out and say, let's compare the numbers. So frankly, I get the concept, but I won't remember it and be able to apply it. But a document would personally help me, maybe it would everybody else. And then I think we're a go.
Yeah, I think statistically, you can get all of that and then do a comparison yearly to make sure it's doing what it needs to do, with the two comparisons being, again, the two issues being the number of cases that are completed, compare, let's say it starts in March of 20, well, you probably need a couple months just to get adjusted, but compare June of 25 to June of 24. How many cases were closed in that period? And then start tracking the length of time it takes to complete those cases. I think all those statistics can be available.
Would we also be tracking the jail population?
Absolutely.
How that's affected?
Absolutely.
How about this? How about I'll email the judge and suggest we'd like to have, and I'm not talking about a book, but a simple document with the metrics and standards that we can have in place before we start, and then we'd be ready to consider a motion?
Yeah.
Is that okay? All right.
Yeah.
Man, a committee doing something substantive. Wow. Feels good.
I
Okay.
like the idea of taking the ones that are in this currently, trying to get them through this expedited, because that's gonna go a long ways on our.
I've told the commissioners this, the gentleman behind me, and I'll share with you guys. In my many years of county government, what I have seen is that problems in county government, we just put a Band-Aid on it. Right now, our issue is involved in the criminal justice system. The Band-Aid is everyone coming to the commissioners and the council and saying, spend 110 million, spend whatever, and you're not solving the problem. And there are attempts now to solve the problems, because it's very unfair, and I've been in their shoes and I know what it's like. I haven't been in your shoes, but I've been watching. It's very unfair for the commissioners and the council to have the pressure of, well, just solve our problem by spending money. That's not fair, and that's what's happened many, many times over the years here in Grant County. Hopefully, with the new people that we have in office, you'll actually start to solve problems and not just put Band-Aids on situations.
Well, it's clearly something we can possibly do and maybe avoid multi-million dollar jails. We can try to, mitigate our problems short of that. I think it's worth a shot.
And I think it's been the consensus of the council and then the gentleman behind me to try to actually figure out what do you really need. And you're not going to know until these problems are addressed.
Okay, I'll run with it.
President, you mind if I get a minute?
Sure.
I will say that the commissioners are in favor of the referee position. I think that's excellent that we gauge the success of that program. I think you want to make it clear that it's not a long-term solution. I think it should be a trial run of 18 months or 2 years or whatever the case is. But moving back to my request, we do need to make an effective date. I would request that we make it January the 27th on those salary requests after.
Well, I thought it was the first.
That
That's
was
for the public defender. This
on the
one.
commissioner's
Sorry.
request. I just take a motion that we make it the next pay cycle, which would be January 27th.
So how did we pass it?
We didn't give it an effective date at all. You just passed it. You just approved the salary ordinance amendment as requested with no effective
So
date.
de facto, what would it be if we don't go back and give it that date?
If you don't go back and give it the 27th, they could start it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Is that fine?
Yeah.
I would have to make a salary adjustment to the 2 employees that are currently there for, several days. It's
Procedurally,
just
can we go
easier.
back and fix the motion to make it the 27th date?
What's easier for you?
To make it effective on a pay.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, it's my mistake. I should have.
No, that's all right.
I should have made it.
Okay. And you wanted that effective what pay?
January 27th.
I think.
January 27th pay.
That would be the beginning day of a pay period.
Well, if it's procedurally appropriate, I would make a motion to so amend what we previously passed to give it that effective date. Does that work?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Second.
All right. We have a motion by Mr. Connor and a second by Mr. Scott to amend that for that appropriate January date for those salary increases to occur. No other questions or comments. Roll call, please.
Connor,
Yes.
Scott,
Aye.
Frankel,
Aye.
Hicks,
Aye.
Kitts,
Aye.
Lemon.
Aye.
Saved us a little money with that motion.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Not much, but
Yeah.
And then the other thing I want to mention too is that we've scheduled a joint session
For next Wednesday.
for next Wednesday, January the 22nd.
Yes.
And that's a joint session between the commissioners and the council. BW Construction will be there to give the options regarding the jail. Just want to make sure you're aware of that. At 6 here.
We have council and commissioners meetings. Does that mean that we'll have a deputy here to keep the peace?
That is already on the list of meeting dates for this year. That still needs to have the approval of the council for media.
Mr. President, I have a previously scheduled medical review panel meeting in one of my cases. Starts exactly that time, so I probably will be late.
Okay. And that's for next Wednesday? You will be late?
The 22nd?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'll try to get here.
What's the name of that calendar? Oh, you have it. Is there a title or?
It's just the meeting dates for the year. I don't really have a name for it. It's just a schedule of dates.
So we need to approve those dates in the motion.
Yes. And I'm trying to find the silly thing here. Maybe it's in here. There it is. I've got it. It was on top of the Grant County Council Rules of Procedure. No? Yeah, meeting date, no, yeah, that's it. Yeah, because we got all the June, July, August, yep, all those dates. Okay. So the chair will entertain a motion for the upcoming meeting dates for the year.
President, move to approve the 2025 additional transfer letters due dates as prepared by the auditor.
All right,
Second.
all right. We have a motion by Mr. Scott and a second by Mr. Living. Any questions regarding the meeting dates? If not, roll call, please.
Scott,
Aye.
Fleming,
Aye.
Frankel,
Aye.
Connor,
Yes.
Hicks,
Aye.
Kitts.
Aye. All right, that motion carries. Thank you for bringing that up, Mr. Scott. And, yeah, so our next meeting will actually be next Wednesday, a joint meeting on January 22nd at 6, but our regular meeting will be Wednesday, February the 19th, 2025. And if not, then we'll move to adjourn the meeting. All right. We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right.
I want to make a public comment. I'm walking here with a smile, watching the cooperation and the collaboration that took place between commissioners and council. As a community member, I'm very proud of you guys. I appreciate this. I hope we can continue.
Thank you, Randy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. Kidd.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. I say I